Know what the word for it is. Where I really can't hardly stand to eat leftovers. Leftovers to me are exactly that. They're left over. They're left over for a reason, because I didn't eat it all the first time. Either I made too much or I didn't care for it all that much. So I don't eat leftovers in their regular form. If I made chili, I make a pot of chili. The next day I've still got a pot of chili. I'm not eating another bowl of chili. What I will do is make a baked potato, pour the chili over that, put cheese and sour cream on it. Oh, that's different. See, now I'm not just eating a bowl of chili, now I'm eating something with different textures, different taste. I'll take hot dogs, and I'll make chili dogs, and I'll pour the chili over top of it. I'm going to repackage that into something else. One thing that you can do, I love to make meatballs, homemade meatballs, meatball subs, meatballs, all that. Take those meatballs the next day, cut them in half, add beef broth to them, put them in with the sauce and everything, you've got an awesome soup. Put some noodles in there. So now you went from meatballs to a soup, just by chopping those up. Now you've got like a pizza soup. What I'm going to talk about here falls along that same lines. And I made a mess. There's another piece. When we make homemade dressings, I very rarely do I buy bottled dressings anymore. Ranch, Italian, any of that, because I can make them at home half the time, save money, tailor them to what I want out of them. I might taste a dressing somewhere and say, boy, I really like blank. I don't really like the aftertaste. I don't really like the sweetness. I don't really like it. That allows me to do it myself. The other thing that I try and avoid all the time, if I possibly can, I try not to eat anything with MSG. I get migraines terribly. I went to the migraine doctor. I went to the doctor. I went to the migraine. I went to the neurosurgeon. He said, stop eating MSG and stop eating anything with additional sodium nitrate or nitrate. Bacon, processed meats, major contributors to sodium nitrate and nitrate. I stopped doing that. I went from having 3 migraines a week to having 1 a month, just by avoiding those things in my diet. I try not to eat or feed myself or my son anything with artificial preservative. You can't get around that in some ways because there's so many things that have it. Unless you're willing to go to the grocery store and you're going to read the label on every single thing. Even simple things that you wouldn't think. I'll give you for instance, my son and I went to the grocery store last week. We were getting wheat bread. We eat whole wheat bread. A loaf of wheat bread at the grocery store has 25 ingredients. 100% whole grain, it has 25 ingredients on it. And I say to myself, bread is basically wheat / flour, water, and a little leavener in there somewhere. Why does it have to have 25 ingredients? I don't know the answer to that. That's sort of my question of the day, I guess. But you see the point. The point is some things are almost unavoidable unless you're willing to go to Whole Foods or somewhere like that and do all of your shopping. What I'm saying is, if you can and if it matters to you, do the best you can with it. Prepackaged meals are one of the worst. Sodium content out the roof. Go buy some frozen meals. Even Lean Cuisine. These things have to come off as healthy, quote unquote healthy. The sodium content on one of those tiny little meals is 28% of your total daily intake. That thing's tiny. There's 10 bites in that thing. That's a third of what you should have for the entire day. Do you know how you cook it? You cook it yourself. We just saw how simple and how easy it is. This is something else. Dressings are notorious for it. You go to the grocery store right now and you buy any bottle of dressing on the shelf. It's going to have preservatives. It's going to have anticoagulant. It's going to have all kinds of artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, artificial flavors. Why don't we just make our own? What are we going to do here? There is a recipe called salsa vinaigrette. We're going to get to that in just a second. I'm going to start here. Now, I teach this class a lot. A lot of people love vinaigrette. You can do all kinds of, this is not just salad dressing. This is a bread dipper. This is a topper for bread to put in to make like pizzas with. There's so many different things you can do with this. Don't just think, oh, I'm just making salad dressing, because that's not the case. But I teach this class all the time. And I will say right now, this is a ball whisk. If you don't have a ball whisk, use a regular whisk. There's 10 different kinds of whisks anymore. There's hoop whisks, there's regular, there's everything. So here's a case that I had. A wonderful little girl. I say little girl, she's 20. She's small, so I say little girl. Was in a class. I was teaching vinaigrette. She lives right down the street from me. God bless her. She called me up. I taught vinaigrette in the class. And here's how I teach vinaigrette. La, 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 la. So I pour this in slowly, just to kind of have a dramatic effect. Actually, that's just the way the bottle pours. So I'm going to ask you in the green shirt, how much is that? How much is in that bowl? You don't know, right? I don't know. I don't have any idea. My guess would be 2 cups. I don't know. Maybe it's 2 1/2. Maybe it's 1 3/4. Well, how can I do anything if I don't know how much that is? It's not how much that is. It's how it tastes in the end that matters. That's why I don't have to have a recipe for this every time I make it. I know how I'm going to taste it. I know what it's going to taste like because I'm going to taste it. If it's not right, I'm going to fix it. Vinegars and flavorings offset oils. Oils offset vinegars and flavorings. If I put oil in here and I add this other stuff and it's too oily tasting, I need to add vinegar or a flavoring, mustard or honey. If I put that in there and it's too sweet, I have to add more oil to offset that. They balance one another. There's a balance. Right? In here is going to be a perfect balance. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to add that much right there. So I come back here. How much? More? Is that enough? Okay, let's stop. Okay, that's enough. How much is that? I don't have any idea how much that is. I'm going to be straight honest with you. I have no idea. And I have no idea how much that right there is. It's that much. That is exactly that much. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to add some honey to this, because everything needs a little bit of sweetener to it, because otherwise it's way too oily. I'm going to take the mustard that I have here. This is a whole grain mustard. I'm going to put exactly that much in it, because I know that's the right amount. Now I'm going to emulsify this a little bit here. Blend this up. Go, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go. I'm probably going to get this all over me because this is not an ideal mixing bowl. But I'm going to do that right there. And then I'm going to say that's the perfect vinaigrette. I just made the perfect vinaigrette. Right? I have no idea if I did or not because I haven't tasted it. But I will in just a minute. I'm going to add to this a little pepper. Just that much. And I'm going to add a little smoked sea salt to this. How do I get the most flavor out of everything I'm cooking? Well, there's different ways to get flavor. One of which is to add herbs and flavored salts. Natural flavored salts. You'll go out, you'll see salts flavored like everything under the planet. Lemon, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? They're artificially flavored. All natural salts. That and herbs are 2 ways to totally alter the flavor of what you're cooking. They're cheap, they last forever. I've had that, I'm not going to say forever because I've not been here forever, but I've had it for a long time. Still just as good. So now, this is how I'm going to know if this is right. Ooh, that is not good. That is not very good. That is way too oily. Basically, that's eating oil. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to add some more of this because we know that the honey and the flavorings and the vinegar offset the oil. So I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to add that much of this. Then I'm going to add that much, and then I'm going to add that much. Then I'm going to add that much of that because I know that's going to be perfect. So now, here I go. This also makes the best sandwich topping ever. You go to those expensive sandwich shops, which I do, we all do, and you get it and they have this special sauce. This is what they make. It's fantastic. It's easy. It's awesome. So, okay, now, we might run out of spoons if I keep this up, so I'm going to have to get this right sooner or later. New spoon, so you don't think I double dip? That's pretty daggone good. That is something that's choking me. It needs that much of that. And it needs that much of that. Now notice, now I'm down to tweaking. Now I'm not just wholesale adding, I'm tweaking. Because I want it to be perfect. I am never happy. People ask me all the time, especially on the Facebook page. Join my Facebook, you'll see all the time. Why can't you just leave well enough alone? Why can't you just pat hamburger together and stick it on the grill and call it a hamburger? That's not who I am. I'm constantly looking for the better. What can I do to add more flavor to this? What can I do to change it? Again, you already know that I don't like leftovers, so I want to change it. I want it to be better than it was the last time. Okay, so I'm going to stir that up like that. Ooh, we are really going through silverware. And now I'm going to get, the man knows his business. That is really good. So, I just made a dressing. I'm going to make this up. We're having a party. We're coming to your house. We make this dressing up ahead of time. We put it in the fridge. And I was telling you the story about the girl. See how I get the girl that lives down the street from me? Whew, forget it. I'm way over here now. This is where this comes in. I teach this class. She comes to the class. She's so excited. Her boyfriend's coming over. She's got this big meal planned. She calls me. She's literally in tears. I have this big, huge salad. I've done everything exactly like you did. I added it, and I added it, and I did. It's terrible. I cannot get it right. Luckily, she lives right down the street from me. I go down and add a couple things. It's fine. You don't live right down the street from me. What made the difference? She did what I did. She added oil. She added vinegar. She added the flavoring. She couldn't get it right. This made the difference. A little bit of that, a little bit of that, but that's what made the difference. You're not going to stir this exactly like I do. You're not going to stir it the same amount of times I do. You're not going to have used the exact same ingredients that I had. It's going to be different. That's why you have to taste it. And I told her that. She was this close to having it right, but that close was putting her into a fit. If you're old and from the country, you say a fit. She was in a fit. So I went down, I fixed it. So I told her, here's the thing. He's not due here for 2 hours. That's not going to taste the same in 2 hours. It's going to settle. Your oil, everything settles. It's like gas and water. It settles, right? So your oil's here, and this is here, your flavorings are here. You take it, you put it in a bottle. Here's the easiest way to do this. You put it in a bottle, preferably with a lid or have a big thumb. You carry